Melissa wants to make cookies for her mom for Mother's Day. One of the ingredients is sugar, and Melissa measures out 1 3/4 cups in one bag. That's all the sugar in the bag. She needs more sugar. She searches the pantry and finds a half-empty bag of sugar that measures out to be 2 2/4 cups. How much sugar does Melissa have altogether? Well, this task uses something called mixed numbers. We've talked about these. You've seen them before. But mixed numbers are whole numbers and a fraction. We usually add or subtract the fractions first, and then we add or subtract the whole numbers. Do the fractions first. Write an equation for the amount of sugar that Melissa has. Well, in the first bag, she had 1 3/4 cups of sugar. In the second bag, she measured it out, and she has 2 2/4 cups of sugar. And together, we would add them together because it wants to know how much she has all together. So if we added this up, we notice that 1 3/4 plus 2 2/4, we're going to add this all up. 3/4 plus 2/4 is 5/4. 1 plus 2 is 3. We have 3 5/4. But you know what? We can't leave this like this. We don't even know what 5/4 would look like. Let's see. What if it looked like if we were using fraction bars? Well, there would be 3 whole fraction bars, and then there would be 2 fraction bars that were divided into fourths because there's a fourth on the bottom. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/4. Well, I know that 4/4 is another way of saying 1 whole something. And then we have a fourth here by itself in this last set of fraction bars. So if we added them all up, we would have 1, 2, 3. This is equal to 4 1/4. So 3 5/4 simplified. We have to simplify it because 5/4 is an improper fraction. In other words, you have a number that's bigger on the top than on the bottom, and you have to change it or simplify it. So 3 5/4 simplified is 4 1/4. How can we see that? Well, we see that 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 whole bars, and then 3/4 plus 2/4 is equal to 5/4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/4, which actually is, if we simplify it out and look at it, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1/4. Could we simplify 3 5/4 instead of drawing the fraction bars out? Could we simplify 3 5/4 using numbers? We know that 4/4 equals 1. We saw it here with fraction bars. So we could say 5/4 minus 4/4, that's our 1, is equal to 1 1/4. 5/4 minus 4/4, that's 1, and you would have an extra 1/4 left over because 5 minus 4 is equal to 1. We could then add 1/4 to the whole number 3, and our answer would end up being 4 1/4, which is the same answer if we use the fraction bars. The same answer using just numbers is the same as if we were to use the fraction bars. Another example. Tim feeds his dog 1 2/3 cup of food 2 times a day. How much food does the dog get each day total? Well, if we work it out using fraction bars, we would say 1 2/3 in the morning, 1 2/3 at night. Let's see, 2/3 plus 2/3 equals 4/3. 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 4/3. What would that look like using fraction bars? Well, There's 1 plus 1 whole, and then we have two sets of bars that are divided in thirds, because there's thirds, that's the number on the bottom. So we have 2/3 plus 2/3. And this ends up being 2 whole plus, we've got 3/3 here, which is also equal to 1. And then we have 3/3 on the bottom, 1/3 on the bottom by itself. So if we add this up, 1, 2, 3/3, and then 1/3 by itself. Let me say that again. We have 1, 2, 3 whole numbers, and then 1/3 here by itself. So 2 4/3 is simplified to 3 1/3. 3 1/3. Or, if you didn't want to draw the fraction bars, you could use numbers and say 1 2/3 plus 1 2/3 is, let's see, 2/3 plus 2/3 is 4/3. 1 plus 1 is 2. Remember that when you have the same number on the top and the bottom, that equals 1. Whether it's 4/4, 10/10, 25/25, or 3/3. If the same numbers on the top as on the bottom, that equals 1. All right, so 4/3, here it is, minus 3/3, that is 1. 3/3 is 1, and then 4 minus 3 is 1. So we end up getting 1/3 plus the 2 that we had here, and that is 3 1/3, which is the same number that we got using the fraction bars. You can work it out either way. Either way you get the same answer. It's just one is drawing the fraction bars and one is using the numbers. Some kids like to use the fraction bars because they like to draw. It's up to you as to what you want to use. Let's try this, but subtracting. Ken has 4 2/4 feet of rope, and he gives 2 3/4 of it, feet of it, away to Paul to tie up his dog. Paul needs to tie the dog up. How many feet of rope does Ken have left? Okay. He starts out with 4 2/4 feet of rope. He gives 2 3/4 feet of rope away to Paul. How much does he have left? Wow. Let's see, 2/4 minus 3/4. In the way that it's written right now, we can't take 3/4 away from 2/4. Let's draw the fraction bars. We have 4 whole fraction bars, and we have 2/4 out of 4/4. All right. We're going to have to take 3/4 away. Let's see. What I'm going to have to do is take one of these fraction bars and divide it up into fourths. Why fourths? Because that's the number we're working with as a denominator. So I'm going to take one of these fraction bars here, and I'm going to divide it up into fourths. Okay. Now I think I can I can subtract this. All right, so I am going to take away 3/4. Okay, 1, 2, 3/4 is gone. And I'm going to take 2 whole bars away. So here's 1 whole bar, 2 whole bars away. And what do we end up having here? Well, I divided that one up into fourths. What's left, if you remember that, what's left here is 3/4. And what we end up with is 1 3/4. And we can see this here with the fraction bars. If we do it using numbers, which is perfectly easy to do, same problem, we can't take away 3 from the 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, and we are going to take this 4 as a whole number, and we're going to take 1 away. Just like we took the fraction bar and divided it in parts, we're going to take 1 of these away, and we're going to have 3 left. Now, if I have one fraction bar or one whole thing, how could I show one as a fraction with a 4 on the bottom? Well, 1 is equal to, if it's got a 4 on the bottom, if I want it to equal 1, it has to be the same number on the top. 4 is equal to 4 fourths. So I took 1 away from here, I divided it up into 4 pieces, 4 fourths, and I'm going to add this to this. All right? So 4 plus 2 is 6. Now I can subtract. 6 fourths minus 3 fourths is equal to 3 fourths. And 3 minus 2 equals 1. And you can see that whether we use numbers or whether we use fraction bars, we still end up with the same number, the same answer, 1 and 3 fourths. Don't need to simplify this because 3 and 4, there's not a number that can be divided into both of those, so it's already simplified. Ashley's cat weighs 12 and 5/8 pounds. Wow, that's a lot for a cat. The vet wants the cat to lose a little weight to be more healthy. After being on a kitty diet for 6 weeks, the cat now weighs 9 and 7/8 pounds. How much weight did the cat lose? The cat started out at 12 and 5/8 pounds. Now the cat is 9 and 7/8 pounds. How much weight did the cat lose? Okay, we should start by subtracting fractions. 5/8 minus 7/8. Oops, this is like the one we just had. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to take one of the ones away from here. And we are going to cut it up. We're going to divide it up into 8 parts because there's an 8 on the bottom. So if we take a 1 away, that now makes 11. Let's see. 1 equals a fraction with an 8 on the bottom because it's 8 on the bottom. Let's see. How could we show 1 as a fraction with an 8 on the bottom? 8 eighths equals 1. It's the same as if you had fraction bars and you divided it up into eighths and then you used them all. You would see that there were 8 eighths or 1 whole fraction bar. All right. So we're going to add this 8 eighths. We've broken it down into 8 parts, and we're going to add our 8 eighths with our 5 eighths. And so this 5 eighths now becomes 13 eighths. Now we can subtract. We know that 13 eighths minus 7 eighths is 6 eighths. And 11 minus 9 is 2. So our answer is now going to be 2 and 6 eighths. There's one more step. I can tell by looking at this that it's going to have to be simplified. What is a number that both 6 and 8 can be divided by? Well, they both have 2 in common. I could divide 6 by 2 and I get 3. I can divide 8 by 2 and I get 4. My whole number will stay the same, so I'll just transfer it here. And my answer will be that the cat in 6 weeks lost 2 and 3/4 pounds. If you do it step by step, it really helps more than if you skip steps and try to get ahead of yourself and then end up getting a wrong answer. On section 3 of your homework guide, practice problems. Please write these down. There are 2. And be sure to solve them. Don't just write them down. Solve them. Here's letter A. This is an addition problem. And here is letter B. This is a subtraction problem. If you need help, replay what you need to get help and we'll talk about it tomorrow in class.